Hello, and welcome to this video. This video I'd like to discuss a little thing called religion. Now, I'm someone from Europe, and I'm somebody who's seen Catholicism all around the place, and this is an interesting find. They appear to be relatively good Catholics, but sometimes people can just be totally wrong, and they can misrepresent a point because you know. Anyway, let's dive into this video. Uh, just
Francis, leader of the worldwide Catholic Church, shaken up the church for years now. He said he doesn't judge gay people. He said,
yeah. I mean, there was the discussion there where you had India was is now officially worse on gay relationships than the Catholic Church.
Said your pets will go to heaven, and now he's considering maybe the biggest change yet.
Before we get there, doesn't judge gay people, and your pets are going to heaven.
Now, here is where the problems begin, because let me explain something to you. The concept, for the people who, may well not have, it's a high chance that you view sex in a different way. There are obviously people within the church who are, asexual. So just for all of you out there, being gay is just the attraction to people of the same gender as you. So the thing is, before you say what you're going to say, I will admit I did pre-watch some of this video. Before you say what you're going to say, keep that in mind, because that's the concept. So unless you're going to argue for, forced, not asexuality, but forced absenteeism from sexual intercourse for everyone, then you can't make necessarily the argument that you're going to make, because it doesn't really work. The pets argument, yeah, makes sense. Pets going to heaven.
I got zero problem with that.
It's very weird when human beings prioritize themselves above other animals. Things human beings are, I guess, more intelligent than most animals in some things, but in other things they're very much not. So
But not too many popes have had the testosterone to say that.
Nah, Yusuf.
It is also something that's taken a lot out of context. So what he said was, what if there was someone who was living a celibate life who was gay and was trying to live their best? And he says, who am I to judge? So he's not saying that anything goes now. I don't
See, what the problem with this, right, is that the problem with this is that there's only two ways to take this. Either you are slightly homophobic and you're trying to accept the word of a religious leader but still have your beliefs, or you're saying, no, media, he's not okay with gay people, he's just saying it's fine that you are, but just don't get involved in intercourse. Is that what you're implying? It's just one of those weird things where you're going, okay, but which is it? Are you homophobic, or are you saying that the Pope isn't accepting of gay people and is just being like, it's fine, guys, we can work on it? Like, what?
I don't think that's what he's saying. Like, who am I to judge? Do whatever you want.
Nope. But once again, as I said, that's not what's going on here. Being gay is just the attraction to someone of the same gender as yourself. Now that, in a concept of if you remove the history from it, means nothing. Because what's the difference between gay and being heterosexual? The gender of the person you're with. That's kind of the only thing. But also, it's not though, because you can have someone who's gay of any gender. Well, so not really. Whatever gender you are, you can be gay. So like that wouldn't work as a concept because, well, no, because it's not just a particular gender that being gay is ascribed to. It's just you individually is where gender comes into it. So it doesn't make much sense. Obviously people do have a different name for lesbian will be the name for that. But the point is, gay is encompassing of all that. So it's just a very odd thing to tack it in this way. It's
I think he's saying, like, people are trying their best, and God loves all people, and God created all people.
See, what that sounds like you're trying to say is, oh yes, well, It's okay, gay people. You failed, but you know, it's okay. What the fuck?
And I'm not going to judge your immortal soul. I'm going to call you to good action.
What the fuck? Like, you do realize what you sound like. You sound like people who are like, oh, no, 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 no. It's fine that you're gay. It's still bad, but it's fine though. It's like, at least it's progress, but it's fuck you still.
And things that are becoming of a human being. But I think some people think of it as, the Pope says free for all, do whatever
No, this is the problem. You sound homophobic when you say it's a free for all because the person is gay. There's a difference between a free for all of intercourse you know, and like someone can have a relationship where they follow. I don't even think this is necessarily Catholicism, but like hard, like you don't think about anyone else. It's just this person. You slowly over time, grow a friendship, and that friendship grows into a more than a friendship, and then you form a union underneath the church, and then from that, then you don't have any intercourse. You still technically you would be gay if the person is of the same gender. Do you understand? There's a difference between it just sounds homophobic for you to say this. I'm not saying you are homophobic. I'm just saying you're phrasing it very badly, very badly.
you want.
Absolutely false.
That's not what he's saying.
Yeah. This is just because you're gay doesn't mean you're second class.
No, absolutely not. And he supports.
Once again, you sound like you're saying that the engagement is the problem, but acting. Yeah, see that's the issue. You are going to need to change that language.
People in the church and fulfilling what God wants them to be.
And the church for centuries has had people of all different stripes serving and trying to love and do the right thing. And to think that you would cast somebody
Yeah, and also the church has been persecuting people for who they are for years. Interestingly, by the way, the Catholic Church and then from that the Protestant Church has been known to overplay the effects of persecution. It is an odd thing that occurs. It is a track record within. I'm not saying by the way that Christians aren't persecuted anywhere, but it's just that there is a track record where Christians do tend to have a much higher rate of claiming persecution where there is not. And what is interesting about this is even within their own religion. So Protestants, there's actually people who estimate that there was a lot more of a fear factor around the time the Protestants would be it would be hunted down and things happen to them by Catholics a lot more than there actually was, and that's an interesting thing there. So it occurs even within the Christian religion itself that there's this sort of overemphasis on persecution, which is very interesting when Christians are well known to persecute people, well known to go into other countries and go, you must be Christian, and if you don't become Christian, we will force it on you by violence, and this sort of taping over that kind of history of violence, of oppression, of the reason why Christianity is so successful, it's because those empires, they forced it. So regardless of whether Christianity is, and Catholicism specifically, is real, accurate to the T or not, you have to admit if you're a Christian, it is propaganda, or at least maybe not now, but it was. Objectively. That's a key thing, and I think a lot of people need to understand who are in that position.
who is gay into some category of substandard life just because they are is really cruel. And it's also not open to the gifts they bring.
Sure. On the other side, your pets can go to heaven. There's no problem with that. Of course.
Well, they don't
And
sin. Why not?
Yeah, so some people would say, well, they don't have souls. Well, they do have a soul, just not
yeah, once again, very weird for humans to run prioritizing over other animals.
quite the same as a human soul. And I'd say, Romans or something like that says that God came to bring, or Christ came to bring all creation to himself.
I come to bring a new heaven and a new earth.
Yeah.
All the things you experience. Just
Creation
new
is
version, right?
groaning with growing pains. Yeah, it's just everybody, not
That's-
just so silliness of those Thomists.
Snoopy has
those
to be in
Dominicans. Stick with the Franciscans.
Pope Francis signaling a possible departure from a centuries-old tradition in the Catholic Church. The requirement of celibacy
Celibacy.
for priests is open for debate. During Mass yesterday, the Pope didn't refer to the celibacy issue, but warned if we spend our days content that this is the way things have always been done, then the gift vanishes, smothered by the ashes of fear and concern for defending the status quo.
It's a great line.
Indeed.
It's nuanced. It's got a lot to it,
Like,
and you know the media is going to take nothing from that.
Yeah. What I am just so glad to hear him say.
I think there is a yeah. I mean, it's oh well, yeah.
That you can lose the gift of celibacy with all this arguing. It's really an amazing gift to give yourself away to everyone instead of someone. That's remarkably great. And if people bicker back and forth about whether it's right or wrong, they're missing the fact that somebody might be called to do that and to offer themselves as a gift. Let them do it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so funny. People project onto me. Like, I can't believe you can't get married. Like, did anyone ask me? I don't want to get married.
yeah, I choose to not be married.
Yeah. So I love that, and just this idea that doing things the way we've always been done can.
I think the idea though is that if you wanted to get married, you'd have to leave the priesthood. You know, if you fell into a relationship with someone, you'd have to leave the priesthood. And if you had a marriage before, it would be like, I'm not sure if we want this fella in the priesthood. I will say, for all the talk you from the Pope, this is not bashing the Pope. Now, I don't mean in that sense. I mean for all what the Pope can say, there is a certain extent. There's a certain amount that is down to the individuals. You know, if I'm in the church down the road, you know, and you know, the priest is saying something, and the priest the priest was married before. That doesn't mean that the city I'm in is going to go, oh, that's fine, you know, that's fine. No, people are not necessarily going to react well to that. You know, I know people who they know priests who they go to church every day, not every day, but like they go to church whenever it's on, but they don't like the priest. They don't. You know, priest is still there, but you know, so it's all well and good to say that it's okay, but yeah, it doesn't mean that people who you're preaching to will agree with you. So there's that.
Can become very juridical rather than, as you say, see the gift of it, the fruit of it. The fact of the matter is that the discipline of celibacy is not a dogma, it's not a doctrine, it's a discipline. It is something that we set up as a rule to guide us.
Right.
It's not required, and if the Pope wanted to change it, he could.
And Pope Benedict allowed the Anglican tradition.
As I said, arguably yes, rule wise, but practically speaking,
to have a special right within the Catholic Church where a married person who's a priest in the Anglican Church can become Roman Catholic and retain the sacramentality of their marriage and their priesthood, making married priests with children in the Catholic Church.
Exactly, because the Church says that celibacy is not constitutive to the priesthood. So what we mean by that is it's not an essential thing. It doesn't invalidate the priesthood if you're also married. So yeah, it can happen.
I was in a Catholic church once and the priest got up and said, so my son the other day says to me, and I was like,
Yeah, so it can happen, and they're still married. In those cases, as I mentioned, but it can also mention like people die and the wife dies and they become a priest, or an annulment. There are some other situations. So how do you think Trevor is going to respond to that eloquent, powerful statement?
he's going to take them apart and say something buffoonery about it.
Oh, the Pope is considering getting rid of the celibacy rule for Catholic
Now-
priests. And I'm going to be honest, I'm happy about this, but this is going to be a little bit weird when you start seeing your priest on Tinder. Yeah.
now keep in mind it's a joke. So
So you don't know Tinder's
Gosh.
a dating app.
Oh, gosh.
So could that happen if we change the rule? Could a priest be on Tinder? Assuming
would
they're not
hope
already.
not.
No. So
It's a meat market, right?
Well, yes, but what we want to make clear here is we're entertaining the idea that married men can become priests, not can priests become married men. You might think, well, that's the same thing. No, no, no. There's an order to it. You have to get married first, and then maybe you can get married, or then you can become a priest. There's no chance of a priest dating his flock. It just once you're a priest, you're done. Whatever it is. This is the way the Eastern Church.
yeah, but like you know, that just seems like a workaround. It's like, oh, don't become a priest yet. Marry them first, and then become. Okay, that just seems like it's gonna bring in a whole new round of issues of exploiting people.
That's it. Yeah, we shouldn't be dating. If we want to date beforehand, that's one thing.
Lord help me.
But we have a precedent for this with deacons, right?
Oh, yes.
Can a deacon date?
Not once he's a deacon, no. Even if your wife passes on,
Yeah.
you're asked to stay in that state, to not remarry.
Makes sense.
And we've had some people in the community marry anyway, and they excommunicate themselves for that. But then sometimes a dialogue with a bishop can work something out.
But you can understand why, because of questions like this.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you imagine being a representative of the church and going on bad dates?
It's going to be there like name of the Father, the Son, swipe left, swipe right.
no.
That guy ain't 39. I don't know. I'm not saying 39.
Yeah, he's more like 59.
Okay. Swipe right, swipe left.
That's
No,
that
no.
point of the joke, but yeah,
Oh man, that's hilarious.
you know, that's the joke.
So you know that priests having social lives is going to affect their sermons, right? They're going to
Hopefully
be
for
preaching
the
out there like, we know from Genesis that it was just Adam and Eve. But if there was, say, a Zoe in the mix, Eve would understand. I mean, she's talking to serpents and...
What? What?
No.
Move on, Trevor.
The point is, okay, the joke is, okay, I will say, there are a lot of Catholics who also are, I won't call them fascists, but there are pretty conservative, and they go, "Oh, it's a slippery slope," and they're trying to connect, give me gay rights with other things people might want to do with things like it. But it's like, but first of all, terrible thing for a religious person to say, because slippery slope. Yeah, who's the biggest pedophiles in history? Yeah, organized pedophilia. It's, let's just say don't maybe bring that up. But the point is that when we look at it, we have to go, okay, but that's the point of the joke. It's that if it's slippery slope, then then the next person comes along, and they have there's another person along the way that they're seeing. That's the idea, that they're kind of semi-cheating on them, and the idea is, well, Eve is talking to the serpent. I don't think that it is the most amazing joke, but just don't shoot it down instantly like that. That's just not, yeah.
Trevor,
you're funnier than that.
You are projecting bad concupiscence, bad cheating, bad humans at our worst onto the priesthood. Don't do that.
Technically speaking, if you ask them first before getting involved. But also, the problem with that is there's also arguments where if it's a very predatory relationship, then asking them is like, well, it's kind of like asking someone at gunpoint if you're allowed to shoot them. Like, well, I guess they're going to say yeah, because, otherwise you'll just shoot them in a more vital organ anyway. So,
Yeah, we've got enough bad anyway, so.
Oh, I see what's happening here. The new pope wants to change the rules so priests can have sex, but the old pope wants the rules to stay the same, and I get that. I mean, if I had been forced to be a virgin for 92 years, I would also be out there like, guys, come on, those are the rules. We agree.
Guys.
Relatively good joke. But, implies the priest wants it, not the priest. The pope wanted, not the current one, but the previous one, wanted to do it. Also, I'm pretty sure it was, and okay, to be clear, I'm not saying that I'm not sure which one it was, but the one that recently died, I'm pretty sure they were involved in covering up the sex scandals. So, not really the best. A lot of popes. But like getting back to the whole thing of what popes can actually do, like the pope has gone against, damaging the climate. We're still damaging the climate. Catholics are, and in general, a lot of religious people are not really religious because they will hold religion as long as they agree with it, and then when they're told by their religious person, oh no, they change and go, no, we can destroy the climate. Oh, there's some more oil barrels, yeah, that's a problem. This sort of thing of, this is my religion. Well, we can sort of just, we can invent a bunch of stuff, and this is the problem, of course, with the Bible. The Bible is heavily edited since it was originally written, and it was originally written like 400 years after Jesus Christ. So it's not, let's be honest, the words of Jesus Christ. You're not doing that. So there's many issues with religion, and yeah, that is one of them. It's.
And that when those Anglican priests were allowed to be Roman Catholic priests, a lot of priests went, "What the heck is this?"
There are some, yeah, because. A couple of reasons. I mean, one, it is a difficult decision. Do I want one or the other? It's not like you are necessarily called to only one thing and you hate the other. I said before, I don't want to get married, but I could have. It would have been great. I would have loved it. I don't want it now.
Okay.
But there are definitely people.
Yeah, that's weird.
In diocesan priesthood that could say, I could be a priest and married? Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. And people frequently will ask us, how did you get your vocation, and did you ever date this, and how did you know? And one sentence I find very helpful is, well, I'm certain I'm more a guy for everybody than I am a guy for somebody. But what if it's I'm more a guy for everybody and it's only this much higher? You still got to pay attention to that as the dominant reality of your heart and your mind. But look at all this wonderful appreciation you have for dating and marriage and children. It hurts sometimes to have taken the vow of celibacy, for us, the vow of chastity as well. It hurts to not have that beautiful intimacy, but there's intimacies we share, not for Casey and I, but intimacies we share in terms of our life with Christ, the Eucharist, the lives of the saints, being with people in the darkest and the most bright hours of the day, that go far beyond anything I ever experienced with a woman or dating.
I've heard people say that there are 14 types of intimacy, and only one of them uses your genitals, right? There's spiritual intimacy. There's intimacy.
Yeah. That's good, yeah. It's good that you're not like, you leave some way there, but
accomplishing a project. There's so many ways to come together. And so we do have intimacy, just not in the way that people use that word.
That's so well said.
So I think that's really important. Yep. But can we talk for a second about this ugly attitude he's presenting here, which is, well, how come they get it, right? I think we do this all the time, right? Like, I have
once again, it's a joke.
Everything I need. Why should I be envious or jealous of someone who gets something that's wonderful for them?
I'm being cheated.
Yeah, but you were happy a second before until you knew someone else had something.
Interesting.
Are we three?
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I do it all the time, though, right?
That's very convicting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy here.
Like,
who cares what happens to someone else? Yeah, but it's a justice issue. Yeah.
They say pride is best defined by competition. I must beat the other person. I must be above them, no matter what it is. If someone runs a mile in 2.93 seconds, I've got to run it in 2.91 seconds.
Impressive. Supersonic.
It would be my run, I'll tell you that. Unless there's a donut
pretty
out there.
fast.
Yeah, so there's an attitude beneath this.
Yeah, there definitely is a factor there. Yeah, but that's once again my point though. So when you look at the likes of people who will make the religion around, sorry, around around what they want. So they'll go, okay, that's the religion I believe in, with those edits done. And for many, they're lucky enough that they pick a religion which is massive. But for realistic terms, if you remove the popularity of those religions, yeah, you picking them is a bit of a weird thing because that's not accurate. That's not what was originally written down. So unless we, discovered some things in the last, few thousand years, um, we might want to consider the problem that there are, over a billion people in multiple religions just going off of rules and going, oh, these are the rules that were set down by these people. It's like, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they weren't, buddy. They were edited. Still a long time ago, but not that long ago, So, no.
Interesting that he's bringing out. We gotta squash even that.
But I'm sorry, old Pope, you don't make the rules anymore because you quit. Yeah, you can't just come back and try and change things up. It'll be like coming back to visit a house that you sold, like, oh, interesting curtain choice. You sure you want to put the couch there? It'll be like, how did you get in here? I took a spare key.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's nailing a reality, though.
Yeah.
Pope Benedict is a very different sort of a fellow than Pope Francis. But both of them were desperately needed at the time they showed up.
For sure.
I mean,
Right, yeah. As said, yeah.
the unfolding of the catechism and the unfolding of the interfaith process of the church was championed under Pope Benedict. And the pastoral care and the wonderful mission forward and outward focus of Pope Francis is just beautifully placed right now.
And so I think it's wonderful. It's a situation I see all the time, not with popes, but you got your pastor and then he leaves away and then the pastor comes back. Who's in charge? Or, teachers or coaches.
I think the problem is that in general, extreme Catholicism is in general linked with also extreme conservatism. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it often is. Mostly because religion is a very powerful tool for affirming your beliefs as a right winger. Because, your beliefs they aren't just wrong, they're hurtful. So if you're a person who doesn't believe in socialism, you go, well, socialism wouldn't work. You can believe that. It's like, okay, so your idea is wrong, is what you're saying. But you're not saying it's bad. You're saying it's wrong, it won't work. It's a waste of money, it'll only hurt people because it won't work. That's what you're saying. But that's not what your ideas are. As a right wing, your ideas are hurtful directly, intentionally. They're not well-meaning. They're not, oh, we wanted this to work, but somebody took advantage of it. Or we want this to work, but, we were bad at this job. It's intentionally evil. And the problem is religion is often linked with that because it's a nice, good excuse to use. If you want to have a situation where you can say, no, it's fine, it's a lot more profitable if you can, say that, oh, well, no, it's this reason. It's because of religion,
You've got a long history and it's hard to separate. I mean, what do you do with Benedict? He's for the most part staying quiet, saying, I'll let Pope Francis lead, but it's got to be weird being Francis, having Benedict right there.
And there are a number of outlets that are very poor in their attempts to examine any truth whatsoever, who will put words in Benedict's mouth he's against Francis, put words in Francis' mouth he's against Benedict. That's not the way it's going.
It's not. No, they worked very well together and they respect each other very much.
I will say what's really strange about this is that both of these men supposedly talk directly to God, right? That's the whole thing of the Pope.
Is that the
No.
whole thing of the Pope?
That's what some people claimed back in the day.
Heck no.
No, they don't talk directly. What is that? You just made that up.
No. See, now we're bored. See, this is where it kind of begins. The sort of nonsense of saying, oh, you did it. No. You are now lying. Because, not lying, you're misunderstanding. Talking directly to God is a thing that has existed for a lot of religious and, monarchical figures throughout the years. You go, oh, I know because I talk. No, you don't. You don't. But that's not the same thing. The Pope now is not claiming to talk to God directly. But that's not to say other people haven't said that. So you can, sure, Trevor's wrong. Yeah, that's not what the Pope is saying. But here's the thing. It's fair though, because some have claimed that. So why is there a sudden change? I think I know why, because those people were talking bullshit, and you could admit that. And the problem is you actually can't admit that clearly, because you're saying, what? You just made that up? No, he didn't just make that up. Trevor didn't just make that up. Trevor got that from somewhere. He got that from history. From people saying they could. Or they did.
You pray for us because God listens to you more than he does us.
No. We have been anointed with a special grace and authority to help lead, but we are just the same as everyone else in terms of our personal relationship to God and call. We have different roles, right? We offer those sacrifices, but it's not like we have a special phone down here, like, yeah, we're just calling God.
You want to know who we really
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be, because, you're not the Pope, but anyway.
listens to?
Who's that?
I'm just saying, like if you didn't know and Pope actually was talking directly to God, and Pope was just like, no, I'm not talking directly to God, no, guys, no, keep on the down low, you wouldn't know, because, once again, you're not the Pope. I'm just saying. It doesn't really work. You can't say, well, no, because it doesn't refer to you, it refers to the Pope. Anyway.
The broken person who wants him, who needs him.
Yeah.
The broken, fallen person who knows God can save him, save her. And that's who he's coming your way.
And hopefully the Pope is that. The first interview Francis ever gave. Who is Jorge Bergoglio? Who's Pope Francis? I'm a sinner. Important to remember.
But they're getting different messages. It's almost like God is playing a prank on one of them. Yeah? Like one priest is going up to God like, wait, are we not supposed to have sex? And God's like, no, I'm just messing with that dude. Look how horny he's getting. Moving on. The Catholic Church is celebrating Pride Month in the most Catholic Church way possible.
USA
Now, this is, USA Today. I don't really like the USA Today, but anyway.
Today says the Vatican issued an official document rejecting transgender identity. It also called gender change a trend.
Now, the thing is, gender identity is as much a trend as, like, being more than a cell is, pretty much. Because animals have gender. Humans have had gender since the beginning. So, can you explain to me how it's a trend if the existence of humanity is not a trend? The fact that we have, thumbs, that is technically speaking a trend then. It is a thing which I think is fundamentally flawed, which is if you want to say that somebody is mentally ill because they're trans. First of all, as I've discussed in the past, doesn't really work, because how would you treat mental illness in that case? Well, you treat it by, but doing gender affirming care. That's how you actually end up treating it correctly. If you try and do other things, what you're doing is the same as if someone has like split personality or thinks that they're a person they're not, and you lock them in a room and you drive them insane. That's what you've done there. You're responsible for that. So there isn't actually the way of actually interestingly solving if being trans was a mental illness. Well, the interesting the fact of how you'd solve that would be gender affirming care. But if you want to say, it's very weird when I hear people say it's a trend, because a trend doesn't really make much sense. Because if it's a trend, then the existence of humans is also a trend, because it's the same period of time. Technically being the existence of being trans is actually longer than humanity. So that's a concept there which I feel like you need to read some history. That seems like an important factor involved if you're going to label something a trend. Because sure, you can label something a trend, but you have to admit what comes along with that. Anyway.
Document called Male and Female, He Created Them, is the Catholic Church's
That's like,
first statement on gender identity. Pope Francis.
Now, what's interesting about this is this sort of thing or when uneducated people will discuss things. You're going, to be honest, think I would probably take the ideas of a god and the complexities of the world more likely from a god than I would from a fucking idiot who just swallowed a bunch of stuff that they were told either as a child or an adult. To be honest, it's worse as an adult, because then you weren't even indoctrinated as a child. Like, that's just even worse. Like, at that point, you're just like, okay, you really are just a fucking idiot. And I'm not saying, by the way, that I'm not saying that people aren't vulnerable. People obviously are vulnerable when they're preyed on by religious institutions. There's obviously that's true, you know. But the point is that why would you trust that, you know? And also the whole picking and choosing. The person who runs the oil company and they're supposed to be a Catholic, why do they not quit? The Catholic Church is also against destroying the environment. Why do you not quit? You are picking and choosing. You're deciding to, choose your battle. That's not great, you know.
Francis has repeatedly argued that people cannot choose their genders.
Interestingly, this makes very little sense because people don't choose their gender, you know? Like, whether I'm a man or a woman or other, I'm not choosing my gender. It is cast upon me. If there is a God, you are a fucking idiot if you just go, oh no, God for some reason decided, no, people can be different, but their gender must match their organs. Wait, no, that doesn't work because people are intersex. So that just straight just does not work as a concept. You know, like at all. Like it is one of the things people say, which is intersex people are one of the main problems of saying that your gender matches your gender. Because well, okay, no, it doesn't though. Because that way someone would have both, surely. You know, if I've got a multitude of different ways of my body being constructed, then okay, but then the person is intersex, and at that point they don't it doesn't work, you know, and that's the thing there, which is okay. Address that then, because you're saying choose, but it's not about a choice. It's cast upon you. If you're trans, you're not saying I've chosen this. You're saying I am this. You, the person who's looking at a trans person, is being the ignorant fucking moron who's saying, no, I know cause this thing. Yeah, the rule that we set out in our society. Yeah, sure. You do realize people don't like a few years ago, and to this day, many like a good chunk of people don't think of people of color as like on the same level. They're wrong, like just straight up, just wrong. Not even from a moral, just from a biological perspective. Same people who think that Hitler was, a good person. Like no, he was actually a fucking agent, and actively lost the Germans the war. So it's interestingly, by the way, side thing. You know the Indiana Jones story where he was going to kill Hitler and take his place and win the war. That's actually probably would be a good idea if you're a little Nazi. Don't want to give Nazis ideas, but the point is that what I'm trying to make is that at the end of the day, you are somebody saying choice, but that's not what's going on here. It's not about a choice, because it's not a choice. You know? Anyway.
Vatican also said that changing norms in gender identity contributes to the destabilization of the family.
This makes very little sense, and it's very funny to me. I made a video before on people don't understand the nuclear family, which is, imagine, we've got, I know they're priests, so, imagine, you're married, or not. I don't know, maybe, I don't, anyway, you're married, and let's say to keep things nice and conservative, you're married to a housewife, and you have 2 kids. And one day, I come into your home, and unfortunately, I shoot you to the face. Your family is no longer a nuclear family. Now, obviously, this is not relevant to the point that newscaster just announced. But the thing is, it is a key point. If you were a conservative, comprehend the fact that if I shoot one of your parents, you're no longer a nuclear family. If you invite grandma in, you're no longer a nuclear family. You're adding an external family. You're doing things there. If you remove a parent, even if you replace them, you are now changing the family structure. Families get changed all the time by general scenarios. Don't go by the place saying that you got the best one, because guess what? No, you don't. Also, number of nuclear families that are abusive, a lot of them are. For the proportion of families that are abusive, most of them are nuclear families. Anyway.
I didn't read the document. Probably should.
Okay, well then you can't really comment on it, can you? You can't go, well, they're saying this then. I'm not saying you are saying this. I'm just saying, good that you preface it with you saying you didn't read it. I make clear I watched this already. I don't generally pre-watch, but I think this one I did pre-watch.
But not new teaching.
No.
Not new teaching is not really a great thing because once again, there's lots of things that are not new teachings. They're actually deleted teachings because the Catholic Church is like, yeah, that's not gonna look good.
It's the same position the church has held. I think the timing of this thing is awful, though. I mean, why smack back like that? It's almost like tit for tat. Or
Yeah, and I don't know the facts of this. I don't know if it was like June 12th they decided, like, hey, because of Pride Month, or it had been in the works for 6 years and they're just very incompetent. Both are possibilities. But just this idea of male and female, he created them.
This is the problem, though. As I said, I would trust a god more about godly things than a human being who has swallowed a story that has very little proof to it. Personally speaking. Personally. I don't know about you, but if someone is religious to that extent, they have already had their ability to swallow propaganda, and they've proven themselves very capable of swallowing propaganda. So, not the best example of somebody. I would probably take the god who is, not swallowing propaganda and just is a god. They are not, But the point is, even if God exists, you do not have proof that God exists. So you are basing off your thing off that. And I'm not saying, by the way, you should, man. I'm making clear that you can't comment on a situation where you're saying this is how it is, and I know because some people said so. Okay, some people who wanted power. You do realize there's a reason why there's racism, and it's because that's badly phrased, but my point is there's a reason why there is racism. That's protected, and there's a simple fact, which is if I'm somebody who's white, it makes sense for me to remove those who are not white from the equation, so that I have less people to stand in my way. It makes sense to remove women from the equation if I'm a man, because that means less people in my way. It makes sense to remove all these people that I'm not, because then I can ascend through the ranks. It's a lot more profitable. Anyway.
as you watch these things and you watch the church and its movements, you'll see a pendulum swinging. And that pendulum swings from openness and discovery to refinement, defining, and codifying. Back to openness and discovering, back to defining, refining, and codifying. Just watch the pendulum and don't participate
Yeah, but in essence,
in the way out part of the pendulum because it's coming back the other way. But I'll also say this. There's nothing anyone can actually do to change their gender.
once again, see, you were able, or rather unable, to comprehend the point that you are taking what the person has said. The person who's in the Catholic Church, and they're taking that and saying, yeah, they're right, except not addressing the point that, yeah, you can't necessarily change, except, that's not what you're doing, you fucking moron. If my gender is that of a man, I am that. I didn't change. Once again, you are deciding based off of what I look like. But that's a choice you made off of, once again, by prior biases. That's not what you do. That's just foolishness and makes very little sense. It's just not.
You can do a lot to change your bodily functions. You can do a lot socially. You can do a lot to change your appearance.
Once again, you're not changing your gender. You are affirming your gender. You are showing your gender. That's what you're doing.
But in the science of the DNA of who you are, male and female seem to be the nature of a person that's inseparable from that person. With that said, very important for us to acknowledge and recognize that people are constantly growing, learning, changing.
Yeah, and very important for you to realize that the Catholic Church has been on the wrong side of science for many, many occasions. So maybe don't bring up science. Not the best example because,
coming, understanding, and it's only when you shut all that down that you start really creating big problems.
Yeah, I think what's really fundamental about this is just the idea that you can decide who you are. I think the science...
See, the thing is, though, is that once again, it's not you deciding. It's that You, my fucking Egypt buddy, doesn't decide in this situation because you know fuck all, because you don't comprehend what someone's gender is, because you can't know that. Obviously. Could God know that? Very possibly. But you need to comprehend that whether or not God exists, you do not have the power of God. You do not have the power of God. So don't come around here going, I know. No, you do not. And you have a religion that is deeply changed over the years and has many issues attached to it. I don't just mean with pedophilia. I don't just mean with all these things. I mean literally the fact that over the years there's all been changes, all these edits added to the Bible to ensure that like people who are kings and lords were able to hold on to their power. Why exactly do you think people encourage religion? Religion is not necessarily a good idea. There's a reason why Protestantism came around in England, and that was because religion in the eyes of the monarchy, overstepped the mark. Religion said, no, 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 no. You will follow our teachings, Henry. You will not decide because yes, you are king. Yes, you are an absolute monarch, but you do not decide. We are above that, and God is above us. But here's the thing. Why do you think religion was brought into all these countries? It's because it's a very useful tool. But they required a little bit of tweaking. They required a little bit of editing to ensure that they would still keep the power. Because the whole idea of, maybe we shouldn't give rich people all the money, you know? Why exactly do you think Jesus Christ was, killed? Because he was going, don't give Rome what they do not deserve. Give Rome what they deserve. And that is a message of somewhat revolution.
It's still very murky and open onto the biology and the difference between sex and gender and things like that. And there are a lot of people that are born with both genitalia, or people born with dysmorphia, or people who are very ambiguous, and that's a reality we still have to contend with. But
yeah, you appear to be the better one here, but still lacking in basic knowledge.
The idea that I get to choose.
But once again, the point is you're not choosing. You're not choosing. Did you comprehend that? You're not choosing. Because are you a man? Is a question I can ask you. And the thing is, you might say yes. But the thing is, though, that's not a choice. But it's not about your genitalia. That's just, you are. That's there. There wasn't a choice. It is an issue, which is that people who are not trans or non-binary or whatever the case may be, they often find it very complicated to comprehend what it's like. Because, yeah, it wasn't a choice for them, but that's the point. It wasn't a choice.
Who I created, and that doesn't matter if we're talking about gender, if we're talking about race or ethnicity.
Sorry, when I say not, I mean people who are cis.
Choose these things. I think that's the.
Sorry if you don't like the word cis. One side thing, if you don't know, if there was no trans people, it was just people whose gender match sexual their sex, you would still be cis. Even if there was no trans people ever in any point in history, no trans people in the animal world, no trans people anywhere, no trans existence in any sense, any galaxy, any universe, none, you would still be cis. Sorry to break it to you, but that is how we use biological words. Now, we can change it if you want. One of the things you can change is wording. And I think that could benefit some people, which is, words are they're just descriptors of what we have in society. So if you do want to change the word cisgender to something else, we can do that if you want, but obviously it will require, deep changes. But, once again, there's the whole thing about changing words, but changing words are just, if we have a different language, then the words are different. That's how that works.
More fundamental problem underneath is that we have a creator that has chosen us rather than that we have chosen ourselves. So I think it's that overarching attitude that really is unhealthy we need to get beneath.
Yeah, but once again, not a choice. But anyway.
One thing to discover more and more all your life who you really are. and whatever that means, and a whole other thing to say, who do I want to be? Just put your thumb on your chin.
Yeah, and I don't think
But so once again, that's not what is going on here. You are an Aegis.
that this is in any way, I don't want to diminish this. This is just kind of like throwing a dart against a dartboard. I think people do genuinely feel discomfort in themselves. They definitely feel a sense of unwelcomeness in themselves, and that's a real situation that we have to contend with. But still, beneath that is, who has God made me to be, and how does that?
The thing is, though, once again, not sure if I'll take, understanding of gender identity from a person who swallowed a religion whole and ate it. But personally speaking, I would be asking the question, how do you know how God intended things to work out? You know? You know? Ask yourself that. How come God didn't guide me down a path where I'm a master at just knowing everything? Well, that's what God decided. I'm not going to demand that because that makes no sense. That's what happened. That's the situation that occurred. Why would you say it otherwise? So there's a problem with saying, oh, but this is what God intended. How do you know what God intended? How do you know that God didn't intend that to happen? How do you decide that God intended you? You are a man. That's what you are. God intended that. How do you know? We've had a discussion of the Pope not being talking directly to God, but are you talking directly to God? Did God tell you directly that that's what they intended? Is that what we're saying now? Because if so, wow, you're a fucking idiot.
Fit into what we know about the human person. I am cautious of making
Sorry,
sort of
I will. No, that's a bit mean. I'm not saying idiot. I'm just saying you're a little bit
dogmatic statements now as we continue to listen and have to understand what people go through.
Yeah, there's a lot still yet undone about the whole thing. But I'd like to personally apologize to any human being who feels treated second class for any reason whatsoever, because clearly Jesus Christ has come for you, everyone, and your value is from the cross of Jesus Christ.
Yes, you're treating them as second classes, and you're also treating them with very little respect by just lying about their existence. Not lying, you're just ignorant.
Not from any other thing, and that value
Actually, no. You know what? No, I think they're in America. There's plenty of access to information. Nah, you're just fucking stupid.
exists no matter what's going on inside of you. Wellness, sickness, wonderment, discovery. It doesn't matter. And
Somebody from other countries can argue that they're ignorant. If you're an American, yeah, maybe in the middle of nowhere, but nah. Otherwise, just do the fucking research. If you come across people being trans and you never even understood the concept, maybe then, but you clearly have not. So don't talk nonsense.
I hope that my comments, I apologize beforehand before I make more stupid statements, just to say that I'm not finished on figuring out what everything is either, but
Yes.
I do know that when it's begun, when it's in the middle, when it's finished, every human person will have unique, intrinsic, categorical value, period, no matter what, and that's Roman Catholic.
Yes, that's right. The Catholic Church has released a statement condemning transgender people.
Did you hear that from the report?
Okay. Okay. This is an example of somebody, condemning has multiple meanings. One of the meanings is in the religious sense, which is literally saying you're going to go to hell. But there's many others. Condemning is also just a use of language for, So technically Trevor's not wrong, because it's just a use of language of describing what.
Did not.
There's nothing about that. Condemning transgender people?
We don't condemn people.
No, it was a call to recognize what God has created.
Fuck off, man. Sorry. Trevor's not saying they fucking did a okay.
And to help people see that. It's not condemning anyone.
No.
That's the problem of if you're religious and you're listening to too many Old Testament stuff.
Actions might be another story, like mutilation of genitalia or...
Interestingly, mutilation is a bit of an odd one, because, okay, but when you perform a sex act, could that not be described as mutilation?
Rude people that say awful things and hateful things. Yeah, there are definitely people.
Or a risk of mutilation.
People in the church that represent the church who have been hateful and condemnatory.
Yeah, that's not Catholic.
You're not going to find that in this document, though.
No.
So that's a leap that he's making.
Once again, you have said you didn't read it, so.
Saying that it's unnatural, which is disappointing, but it's not surprising. I mean, we all know the church thinks if you're born a girl, you're a girl forever. And if you're born a boy, they're going to try and you.
Now, this is, this is fair, historically wise, large amount. I will say, to be fair to the Catholic Church, there isn't an insane amount. It's just that there's a much higher rate than you'd find in any other situation.
Here we have an opportunity to talk about a serious thing, and rather than making a legitimate
First of all, it's a reaction to something. It's a joke. So, also, you're wrong. Objectively, if you refer to being transgender as a trend, you are just wrong unless you are announcing that human beings are a trend and God is planning to change the thing up. Because if you're saying that, sure. But otherwise, you're just fucking wrong. Sorry, but that's just how facts work. God, that sounds like fucking weird. No. Don't want to. I retract that. No, but that's just the truth. That's not how you are not comprehending that. Sorry.
argument, we make an ad hominem argument. So he doesn't actually respond to male, male, female, female. He doesn't make a response that's about anthropology or about the human person. It's, nah, you're an idiot.
Let's wait a second now. You said, ooh, he said you're an idiot. He didn't say you're an idiot. He brought up a historical point of priests fucking children. Now, I would like to ask if that is the same as calling someone an idiot. First of all, calling someone an idiot doesn't really work. I apologize if before when I called you an idiot. Doesn't really work, but to be fair, it works as criticism. It just doesn't work as I'm right, you're wrong. It works as I'm not necessarily right, but you're definitely fucking wrong. That sort of thing of like, if I walk barefoot, I'll be as fast as supersonic missiles. Like, no, not really. I mean, if you wear shoes, maybe it's like, well, no, that's wrong as well. But that person is an idiot. You kind of are too, but like, they are an idiot as well. As long as they've actually, studied. If they've been told that, that's not really fair. But
it's a very bad comedic tactic.
He didn't call you an idiot though. He didn't call the thing an idiot. He called the church. He called out the church's history of pedophilia.
Cold biting. Yeah. I mean, there's a basis for the realities he's trying to put out there, but I don't know. He lost me there.
But this is the way we talk to each other sometimes, right? We're talking about this thing over here, and I'm not winning this argument over here, so I'm going to make a really mean thing over here.
Yeah, that's.
The thing is it's not really mean unless you don't like the fact that your church has a history of, fucking children. If you don't like that fact, that's understandable. But, that's not really mean. It's just a policy. Because yes, it is true to say that not all the priests were fucking children, but the church was covering it up. Senior people within the church were covering it up. Even if your pope wasn't actively having sex with children, guess what? They were helping others who did do that get away with it. So you cannot go about the place and look at that criticism and cast it aside because it is valid for the church. Not maybe on an individual priest, but for a church, yes. For the Catholic Church, it is very fair. It is not the same calling you an idiot. Sure, it's not relevant. Also, beginning of his point, so, don't say he didn't argue,
Ugly rhetoric.
Let's talk about, and we will in a second, let's talk about the issue of pedophilia. Let's talk about abuse. That's a discussion. But when you just throw it in here as a low blow, it's not good.
I think he likes the shock value
Oh,
sometimes.
you gotta laugh, for sure.
Yeah.
And let's be clear. Let's be clear on this. Gender change is not a trend, all right? It's been around for thousands of years. But if it was, why does the church care about it so much? How come the church isn't warning us about other trends? You never hear the Pope saying, it is against God's will to wear supreme.
I will say one criticism for Trevor, not really for Trevor, really, it's just people who react to stuff. He did move on fast from saying it's not a trend to basically say, but if it was, which isn't great, but it's not a trend. Well, to be fair, trends can go on for thousands of years. The only problem is being trans has been around as long as being human. So if so, so is being human. You know, because human beings need change. You know, we weren't human, and then we are. Unless you're also denying evolution.
There's only one hype beast, and his name is Jesus Christ.
Probably could pick a better example. I would have gone with Crocs as a non sequitur there.
Why?
But why does the church care about this?
Wait, why? But the idea supreme is, supreme. Okay, well, don't think you got. Maybe I didn't get your joke, or you didn't get Trevor's joke, but anyway.
Hey, let you be you, honey boo boo, right? Do what you want.
That's not. No. Okay. He brought up. First of all, once again, it's a joke, so don't take the joke in the same way as being serious. The whole thing of bringing up the pedophilia is actually a valid criticism of the Catholic Church, because they did cover that up. That's an objective fact. Even if your priest wasn't actively fucking a child, they were helping to cover up the priests who were fucking children. So that's the key thing there. The whole thing with stream is you're not arguing, but you're going, we are against sort of thing. But no, are you arguing against Supreme? Are you arguing against merchandise? Are you against fast fashion? Harshly? Are you preaching about that in all your sermons?
Isn't that what the culture says?
I think the church has been a sponsor of the sciences in such a way.
Very funny, seeing as the church, has actively suppressed science for many years. It's also helped it, but is actively suppressed it.
Whatever's true, and
that's the thing is, the problem with the church is they can't really say the argument of it is for truth, because it's not. For all the examples of it funding sciences, there are also examples of it just not doing that.
There are pieces of the truth within the whole argument of
actively pushing against it, Galileo.
Gender and identity that we want to hold on to, and say what you want about the rest, but I think nature's important. It's a reality, and it's to be unpacked as it is. And you have to watch out for where the manipulation of any materials or any persons or any things are simply for one's own, I don't want to say pleasure, but there's a whole thing, like I tried to say earlier, there's this whole thing about discovering who you are and having that come at you and trying to unpack it, and then this designer person. Two very different things.
That's...
It's important that the person have dignity in themselves, and the person understand who they are, and the person be upheld in who God has created them to be. Just because it doesn't affect me, this is such a silly argument, doesn't mean I don't care about something else, right? You're basically saying, why should you care about anyone else's well-being? That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not.
We care about everyone's well-being, and we want people to live the truth. That is in our best interest.
I think it may be about how much more we're hearing.
I will say, my problem really is that the only objection to being trans is the fact that you might be assaulted, or killed, or discriminated against, or all these things. The only issue, of course, all that is that stems from transphobia. The only reason why you wouldn't be okay with your child being trans, the only legitimate reason, is because you'd have fear for what would happen to them. But the only reason why that would be the case is because, of transphobia. There's no integral part of being trans that is necessarily more dangerous than being cis. So, safety-wise, not a concern, except for transphobia. So if you're preaching, and one of your followers goes out and punches someone who's trans in the face, okay, they're punched in the face because they're trans, okay, but that was because you preached that they were
hearing about it all.
You can't. God decides, okay, but
how much more
that's exactly the point. God decides.
Now,
you don't, though. That's the point. You don't decide.
NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, all these people have a mandate to include every sort of person.
Sorry, what?
NBC, CBS, ABC. I think it may be about how much more we're hearing about it all, and how much more it's in the media.
Right, yeah. We should suppress people. That was a great idea, wasn't it?
How now NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, all these people have a mandate to include.
You do realize, right? It still has not occurred, but there's a reason why we have a problem with whitewashing. That's still there. It's slowly, it has decreased by a good bit, but it's still there. So, if you do want all the actors to be white, straight, cis men from America with, you know, very specific American accents, and to have no actual problems, to have it all be like, maybe a little economic, but it's no problems, you know. Sure, and if you also want the characters to be that, sure, not saying all the shows will be bad, but like, you do realize there's a problem with that, right?
Include every sort of person. So you have handicapped people in sitcoms.
Well, that's certainly.
You have gay people in sitcoms. You have transgender people.
Okay. I will say, by the way, the majority of both gay and trans people in sitcoms were punchlines. So they've been there for years, just that now they've become somewhat less of a punchline.
Sitcoms. I don't understand the Supreme logo on the hat, though.
It's just a trend.
Okay.
It was like people are doing this.
Okay.
Saying like, why are they talking about that trend? That's why I said Crocs.
That's a horrible example.
Well, your fucking Crocs example was
It's supposed to be a joke. We just
not yours, but his.
Sorry.
Supreme, yeah. So that's why I say Crocs. We should be denouncing Crocs. That is, let me be the first in the Catholic Church to publicly denounce Crocs. Can I just
Yeah, but that's not the joke. The joke is Supreme, as in, you know.
Is that making you happy, Trevor?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That, like, Supreme is almost blasphemous.
Yeah.
Oh, and get this. Part of the Vatican's rationale is that transgender people go against its belief that God made men and women to reproduce. Which, first of all, transgender people can reproduce. And secondly, again, why do you care, right? You don't even let your people reproduce, right? Nuns aren't allowed to have sex, right? Priests can't get little boys pregnant. Yeah, that's right. 2 pedophilia jokes. Yeah. I got away with it the first time. Of course I was going to go back for more. Which is the same thing the priest said about touching little boys. Oh, 3 pedophilia jokes. Oh,
are we done?
Oh, you don't like it? Well, you should transfer me to a different parish where I'm probably going to do the same thing. 4. Oh.
See, it's fair, though.
So, Trevor, no.
It's fair, though. It's fair.
In one hand, we deserve a good spanking for a long time, so it never ever happens again to anybody ever again.
Here's the thing, though. I have said this about 3 times in this video. I apologize to anybody who's still listening, but you've probably clicked off at this point, haven't you? Yeah. If your man here is in the community, and he's being predatory on multiple children, it is a true fact that he will not be punished. Back in the day, maybe now, but back in the day, no. He will be moved because if the community was like, no, we're finished with this. You kick him out, and that was never resolved willingly by the church.
Again.
Never.
On the other hand, you were doing some funny stuff about our realities, then you just started stabbing us.
Yeah. Is this a reality today?
For fun.
Yeah, this is an old joke that doesn't necessarily apply to an issue of justice today.
It's not actually that much of an old joke. You have, publicly, we are very sorry for the deaths of previous popes. Those popes did protect those people. So no, it's still a reality, the fact that you are defending those people, and you are still okay with those people who defended pedophiles. So keep that in mind.
Let's bring up
not that old.
Places where this still happens. It's not happening with us. So
that was Republican congressmen are known for that, and senators are known for that.
I just think it's
that was a very good dig, Not really at Trevor Noah, but at other people, Because there are definitely some religions that still occurs, cults mostly, but I guess Christianity can be a cult. But out and out, everyone agrees behind the even its members are sort of like,
times. I don't know. Comedy is supposed to bring light to dark situations. It's supposed to be satirical sometimes, and so I think those jokes probably I would have been okay with 15 years ago.
Let me ask you a question, Father Casey. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to be critical as we watch things. That's what our show is all about.
Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, now we're critical about this. What do you do about it? Do you have a right to be offended?
Yeah, you always have a right to be offended, and the way that you respond is you don't watch the show, or maybe you write the TV network a letter, or Trevor Noah a letter. I don't know. I think you always have the free in this free world to choose what you want to watch and what you're not going to watch.
Is it fair to say that these producers will produce anything that you're willing to consume?
Yeah.
That's a weird. Did you hear what I said? The producers will produce anything you're willing to consume, and they may give you some new taste buds. Try this radish with a little mustard on it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they make it so exciting to try radish with mustard on it. You try it, and maybe it wasn't good for you. Maybe that.
Now, to be honest, there are some people who do have a sensibility, which is let's not hook people on fascism, because we can give them a little taste. But what we want is the same type of thing that you get with the left, where you get people who are campaigning for protests, they're campaigning for donations, they're campaigning for slow movement, but don't really move against the machine. Don't try and really do anything. And oh, this thing, oh, let's not do that thing. And that's the thing there. And you see this a lot with people who are on the left, and I've critiqued people on the left. And it's a problem, right? Where, in my opinion, not the worst people on the left, but pretty much get elevated because they are useful sources of watch that person and be pacified. Because that way, instead of you and your friends going out and, you know, doing a coup and, having a leftist revolution, when I say you and friends, I mean a large amount of friends, you and your friends will watch a live stream or watch YouTube videos, and you'll consume your media that way, and you'll not consume, but you will get out your feelings of we need change that way, and you'll see this person who's they're kind of big, and you'll go, oh, that person's gonna we'll rally around this person, but this person's not gonna do anything really ever, because as long as they're following the tag of I can be as far left as I can be, but as long as you don't actually tell people to actually act and actually do something, then the money keeps flowing in. And this I discussed this before with the likes of Second Thought getting sponsors from Amazon. You're going, right, but Amazon pays like fuck all. And to be fair, I would argue in the warehouse there is a certain principle, I would argue, where Amazon is not really generating much money from your labor, because they're deliberately slashing the prices down as slow as possible, as low as possible. And arguing for capitalists is, well, we are only making, 10%, 20% on your labor. Okay, fine then. You're still exploiting me. You're still making me piss in a bottle, and then also making sure I don't have that piss bottle in my van. But the argument is, well, at least you're not uh then charging the customer an insane amount of money. Now, obviously, Amazon, I'm pretty sure, still does that, but the point is, most of Amazon's money gets made from its cloud services, and also it's taking a cut from other people's shopping businesses. So its actual laborers are not necessarily they are being exploited, obviously, but they're not necessarily being, which is the sense of like they are earning loads of money for Amazon individually. It adds up pretty quickly when you're employing tens of thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of people, obviously. But if Amazon is making 50-50 with you, well, they're that's a lot of money when you add it up all up. But when you're being paid fact all, yeah, it's like, okay, that's you are entitled to a little bit more, obviously, under socialism, but you'd actually redistribute, you change the system, But Amazon has other initiatives that are being promoted by Second Thought, which are Audible, which is very much different. Audible costs Amazon a lot less, and Amazon keeps a lot more. Well, not necessarily keeps a lot more, but they keep about 93% of it, I believe. I'm not sure if it's 93% or 97%. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that they keep a lot of the money for people who are on Audible, and that's the point. So you have people on the left, but you also have people on the right who are useful for getting people to rally behind them, but don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't actually do anything. Just keep giving them money. Keep buying products. Keep doing this. Keep the money rolling in. Keep pacifying. And that's why you have Fox News being replaced in its extreme fascism, and it's losing its fascist viewers who are moving to more explicit networks, who are outright saying you should do this, or this is the address of this place which is doing this thing. It's not actually doing, but this is what it's doing. And then bomb gets called. That's a situation there where it's going, okay, yeah, that's a problem. So producers will do this, yes, but within reason. They will tend not to invite fascism. They'll tend to go, well, let's get the fascists in and let's suck them for all the money. So, yeah.
Combination is poisonous. So it's very important to stay critical, see the good in it. I think we try to do that, right?
Yeah, and there's definitely this conversation, which is a much larger conversation for a different channel, but about this kind of cancel culture, I think that there's something really bad about it, but something very good in that I do think you should make your voice known. I do think you should choose what you want to watch and what you don't want to watch, and you should make people not produce things that are
Yeah.
bad. The problem with cancel culture
Okay, what are you going to say now?
is its unrelenting nature, how swift it is without any sort of due process, and how...
I mean, if we actually look at the cancel culture, majority of people who are quote unquote cancelled are not actually cancelled. So you see people who are earning millions off of a Netflix stand-up special, and they were apparently cancelled. It's like, okay, it's like I got paid 25 million for the special. It's like, oh really? Last week you said you were cancelled. So I mean, if that's what cancel is, man, like, I think a lot more people are going to be saying those slurs because, wow, like that's a hefty amount of money to get paid after being cancelled, and some people they do lose money. The only problem is if you're earning $100 million a year, and then you get cancelled, and now you're earning $25 million a year. Okay, for an average person, that would be the equivalent of getting paid like 10 grand a year. Actually, for an average person, would be even less than that. That would be an insane, hardship for that person to cope with. But like, you already are extremely privileged, and now you're still extremely privileged. Like fuck off. That's not. I don't really care about that. Like you lost money, but you're still a millionaire. You're still earning millions a year. So
unforgiving it is. People can make mistakes.
Okay, but it's not unforgiving. As I said, people don't really get cancelled.
People can do things that are wrong, and then they should be able to learn from them to just say, you're done forever.
Interestingly, by the way, an example in my country is a priest who was accused of raping a child, and they were apparently not guilty. But because the news aired it, no one wanted him to be in their parish. So,
It's a sad part of our culture. Speak your voice. Shut it down. But then let's try new growth.
Yeah, cancel culture seems to.
And that's the key thing. Like, you can't really be cancelled unless you weren't famous before being cancelled.
Me to lack understanding and compassion.
Often lacks context.
Yeah. I mean, how much wiser are you to maybe ask a few more questions or sit with the person and their ideas a little longer to get at what's underneath why you're reacting that way?
Yeah.
That's more human and beautiful.
And can we see the whole of it? So you're bringing this full circle. I think Trevor Noah is a fantastic comedian. I think he did
guy.
a great job at The Daily Show. I loved his analysis of things. His talks between the scenes were often very wonderful. Did he get some things wrong here? Yeah. Does it?
Yeah, but did you also get some things wrong? Yes, you did. You got a lot of things wrong. You got, actually, I would say most of the things wrong.
Make me a little cautious of things he says about things I don't know, because now I know about these things and he got those wrong? Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but you don't know about things. You don't know about being trans. You don't know about being gay. You don't know about pretty much everything he talked about. You misunderstood most of his points. So, what was the thing with the Crocs? I don't even know what that even was. Like,
but I think we all have our blind spots, and so I'm willing to forgive these
also,
things.
you cut across him half the time, and you didn't reference his points that he made. You didn't reference the point that being trans has been around for thousands of years. So address that point. You just let that play and then just cut over it. So no.
Look past them a little bit to see, well, you're just being a little bit basic here. These are jokes everyone's made. Maybe learn a little bit more, but I'm going to uphold the things you do well.
Yeah. Perhaps he's saying, Catholic Church, you have enough humility to take these jokes because you put out a lot of pain. Have the humility to take these jokes.
Yeah.
And he's watching to say, are we the real deal? Will you have the humility to take the joke about this awful thing that happened? And I am willing, but it does hurt. It stings, I'll tell you. Because we've done a lot of work to fight these things.
For sure.
Yeah, but also, I remember it wasn't too long ago that the Pope who died was people were mourning him and going, they cover up pedophilia. So.
And you know what? Hey, Trevor, I know you're watching because you're obviously big fans of this little YouTube channel. If you want to reach out to us, we'd love to have a conversation.
And by the way, no, I'm the guy in Raleigh, North Carolina, who went to see you, who went, you! And then you went back to me, you!
There you go. You're famous. Yeah, that guy. Well, Father Patrick, would you close us in prayer, please?
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Lord, God bless Trevor, and anyone
So-
who tries to produce truth helps us laugh our way through it.
Yeah.
God bless him from coming from so challenging a
There's
circumstance
that.
to being a bright and well-educated, thoughtful, cosmopolitan individual of the world. And as his stage and his persona and his influence grows, help him, Lord, please, to use this influence in ways that truly bring us
You know,
all to a
it's-
better place. I thank
does
you for our
feel
critical capacity and ask you to help us use it. But not in a way
very-
that cancels another person. Bless
What?
our attempts at being a healthy human family. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Sorry,
Watch
what?
you having wonderful
What?
Capacity and ask you to help us use it, but not in ways that truly bring us all to a better place. I thank you for our critical capacity and ask you to help us use it, but not in a way that cancels another person. Bless
Wow.
our attempts at being a healthy human family. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you for
So yeah, that is not the best from the two Catholics there. Great misunderstanding of a lot of things. If I've missed any points, apologies. You know, there was a point there I want to make that I've lost now. But yeah, that's the thing there. We do see this as an issue a lot, where you know there's just a fundamental problem with people who are religious. Not against you if you are religious, but you know there is a fundamental problem where you do see that there is instances where you do have a problem talking about things where the question is, well, you're religious, so you know, do we really want to trust you on this? Yeah, are you the most reliable? And yeah, they're not the best. They missed a few points there, just didn't really address them. Yeah, critique there.